By now, a lot of Nigerians have seen the petition filed by former Governor Peter Obi against the declaration of Bola Tinubu as the president-elect of Nigeria. Now, there are a number of issues. A lot of people are excited about the petition, and some people are thinking that, okay, this is the end of Tinubu. It's going to like get rid of him. It's going to expose his drug conviction, and Peter Obi is going to be sworn in as president. Now, I've read the petition. That's why I took time before I responded to it. I went to absorb it, read it. And look, if Peter Obi wants to get rid of Bola Tinubu as the president-elect, he's going to have to do better than what we've seen in the petition. And I'm going to base it on facts, not on emotions. And I know a lot of people are very emotional right now. And when you're emotional, sometimes, your head tends to be in the cloud. Now, a lot of people have said, okay, this is not going to be the first time that Peter Obi has been able to remove somebody who won an election. He did it before in 2005 at the gubernatorial level when he was able to unseat Chris Ngige. Now, here's the challenge here. At that time, Ngige was having a problem. He had been made governor more or less by Chris Uba, who was his godfather and who was the big man in Anambra politics at that time. And he had gone against him. I think there was some kind of arrangement that he was going to step down. And obviously, who's going to test power? Who's going to taste power and then want to leave it? Very, very few people. So he refused to abide by the agreement, and then an attempt was made to remove him from office. And it was like a resignation letter with a fake signature, which he didn't sign. He was, some of you know this story. He was locked up in a toilet, and then it was said that he resigned, and the apparatus of state was used against him. He was able to escape, courtesy of Tafa Balogun, the police boss at that time, IGP of police, and he came out. So there was a lot of things. There were a lot of things that were in play at that time. Chris Ngige had fallen out with his godfather, Chris Uba, who was very, very strong in the Obasanjo administration because of his brother, Andy Uba, who was able to use state apparatuses. Now, that's the allegation. And then some of you will know the reality, but for legal reasons, I got to say that who was thought to have used state apparatuses to help his brother. And the long and short of it all is that evidence that Peter Obi would never have gotten, evidence that he would never have had under normal circumstances, were provided for him before the Justice Nabaruma Tribunal, and he was able to emerge victorious 2005. And then he went for an appeal, and he also won on appeal, and then he was sworn in as the governor. The circumstances are completely different right now. You got the federal government of General Muhammadu Buhari strongly behind Bola Tinubu. The same party. Bola Tinubu has not taken any steps that are going to be against the interest of General Buhari, because he's not even in power. So the circumstances are different. So there's going to be a very, very hard, task to prove any of the electoral malpractices against Bola Tinubu. Yes, I know that they were overvoting in about 40,000 polling units, because those polling units where accreditation was done manually. But here's the thing: a lot of those polling units also favored Peter Obi. So if they remove all of those polling units, and I've done that, I've actually done the maths, I've crunched the numbers, it will still say that Bola Tinubu won the election. As a matter of fact, it will just bring Bola Tinubu and Waziri Atiku Abubakar closer together. So, because the overvoting, all parties benefited from the overvoting, but the party that benefited most was the APC, but then the Labour Party also benefited. So it's just about 14,000 polling units. So it's going to be very hard to prove the things that he wants to prove. It's not going to be like in 2003. Now, another issue is that some people are saying, okay, well, he's going to be able to get rid of Bola Tinubu on the drug conviction. Now, that's going to be hard. Why? Because some people had gone to court before all of these shenanigans started and tried to get Bola Tinubu disqualified on that basis, and they failed. So you don't have to take my word for it. You can actually Google it. So if they failed at the court, it's unlikely that the same courts are going to give victory to Peter Obi. What kind of facts is he going to come out with? I went to Chicago. I was able to release the documents, in the public sphere and all of that. And then even with all of that, the courts were able to say that, okay, no, they threw the case out. But another thing I'll tell Peter Obi, if he's going to be very, very successful at this, what he just wants to do, focus on those 14,000 polling units. That's what I'm going to tell him. Just focus on those 14,000 polling units. Now, maybe we've not been very, very, thorough. But if you look at the polling units, Peter Obi had some overvoting, but APC had more overvoting. But there's the thing. Perhaps there are other polling units that are affected by the overvoting figures other than the ones that we found. Now, get those. Now, if you can show a case where the overvoting and where there was a manual accreditation, and then because obviously manual accreditation means that BVAS was not captured, and so people can vote early and then vote often, and then you can ask INEC to produce those ballots, make sure that INEC doesn't destroy them. And then you're able to show that Bola Tinubu benefited significantly more from the overvoting than any of the other parties did. And if not for that overvoting, he would not have been able to fulfill the requirements of the Electoral Act and be declared president-elect. Then the court cannot ignore that. And the Independent National Electoral Commission cannot ignore an order from the court. And then they'll be able to withdraw the certificate of return given to Bola Tinubu. But failing that, I don't see how this is going to happen. So you might want to work with your lawyers to strengthen your petition. Now that's my feedback. Talk to you guys later, and God bless you.